What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk here, back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about Patrik Laine and the possibility of an offer sheet coming his way. Now, we've seen the Montreal Canadiens offer Sebastian Aho an offer sheet, and it didn't work out. The reason why is because it wasn't high enough. The Carolina Hurricanes were okay with matching that contract. It was under $8.5 million. The Montreal Canadiens get their picks back that they would have sent over there had Aho signed the deal, or well, he did sign it. If Carolina didn't match that deal, those picks would have went to Carolina. Aho would have went to the Montreal Canadiens, and they would have lost their cap space. Now the cap space is back on their cap friendly page. They also can go 10% over the cap, which we'll get to in a little bit in the off season. And everything's back to normal now. Are the Habs going to make another big move? Sebastian Aho is with Carolina now. That's over with. Aho used the Montreal Canadiens technically to get that negotiation done. He kind of said that he wanted to speed up the process there, and the Habs were willing to do it. And I guess he would have been willing to go there because he did sign it. And I'm sure he knew that Carolina was going to match it. But you guys see the title. The big name is Patrik Laine right now, as well as Mitch Marner. Now, if I was to take a guess, I don't think the Habs would be the team to try to go after Mitch Marner. I don't believe that they want to do that. I also don't believe that they want to overpay for Mitch Marner to the point where they're really putting themselves in a really bad situation with the cap. Plus, I don't think that they directly want to do that to the Toronto Maple Leafs. So a lot of people are saying, oh, well, it makes sense. They're in the same division. Like they're going to want to hurt the teams that are around them. Well, here's the thing. You guys are forgetting the point here that the Toronto Maple Leafs could then go really try to mess with the Habs the next time they have an RFA. Like, who's to say that they can't go after Kotkaniemi when he is a restricted free agent and throw a bunch of money at him? And I don't think that the Habs really want that to happen. Now, of course, that's down the line, but the Leafs could certainly do that to get back at them, or they could put them in a bad situation in other ways. And I don't believe that the Habs are wanting to go after Mitch Marner in regards to, I don't believe that they think he would sign there. Mitch Marner, growing up a Leafs fan, that's not the biggest thing that I think I'm worried about I would be worried about if I was a Habs fan. I think that it just goes to, it's also a bad PR move probably for Mitch Marner regardless of the money. I think that Mitch and his PR team and, his dad, who's involved in a lot of this stuff, and, his agent and stuff, they probably wouldn't want to go from being the most loved Toronto Maple Leaf to arguably one of the most hated Leafs of all time if he signed with Montreal and they ended up holding on to him, and he put a bad taste in all these Leaf fans' mouths by going to Montreal. I think that it makes more sense for the Patrik Laine thing to happen, because I feel like Laine is more inclined to take that contract and go over to Montreal, while they also wouldn't overpay for him. So let's get to it. So basically this started with David Pagnotta tweeting out on July 5th that multiple teams have considered pursuing Mitch Marner, including the New York Islanders and Montreal. Hearing the Islanders are serious about pursuit, while the Canadiens may be focused on Laine. Whether the Isles or another team move forward with an offer sheet remains to be seen. So, of course, Montreal did take the first swing, and they kind of missed. Let's be real here. With Aho, they kind of missed, but good on them for trying it. So let's look at Patrik Laine here, because this seems to make a lot of sense for them. This would boost Montreal scoring absolutely crazy. We know Mitch Marner would do the same thing, but if we're saying focused on Laine, let's focus on Laine. So 21 years old, of course he's a winger, 6'5", 206 pounds. Laine is a big guy. He's a big player, and he can score lots of goals. These past playoffs, he had 4 points in 6 games played, so not too bad. I'm sure Winnipeg would have liked a little bit more production, but what can you do? I think he did the best that he could. And career playoff numbers, he has 16 points in 23 games played, so not bad for a 21-year-old in playoff games, but he was a second overall selection behind Austin Matthews, so you do expect quite a lot from him. So looking at his numbers in the 16-17 season, in 73 games played, he had 64 points, 36 goals, and 28 assists. 36 goals in his rookie season. Absolutely amazing numbers. 82 games played in the following season. He had 44 goals and 26 assists for 70 points. That is Patrik Laine. That is what he can give you. I have to say, I think that he's probably a 50-goal scorer on Winnipeg easily. You add him to Montreal, I still think he's scoring 50 goals. And who knows, he could score more than that on any team in the league. It's just, if this is the case scenario we're going with, I think Laine fits in incredibly well in Winnipeg, but I also think that he wouldn't fit poorly in Montreal. I think he'd do quite well. And then this past season, 82 games played, a down year for him, 30 goals, 20 assists for 50 points. Not the production that Winnipeg was looking for. A lot of people will argue he wasn't getting the minutes that he deserved, but when you're not playing up to par, you're probably not going to get those opportunities. And I mean, that's just straight out of Paul Maurice's mouth. This is a guy that's never been shy to say stuff like that in his post-game interviews and all that stuff like that. But also from Winnipeg journalists, reading articles throughout the year, because as much as people seem to think like I don't like the Jets or I don't like Laine, I don't know if you've ever watched videos on this channel, but I have said a lot of great things about the Jets and a lot of great things about Laine, and I've never said anything bad about the team or Laine. I think that's ridiculous, but I think Laine's a fantastic player, but I think he played up to par enough where he should have got maybe a little more minutes, but he went on quite big cold streaks and he wasn't scoring a lot of goals. But then when he does score, they come in bunches. Like there was a stretch where he had like 11 goals in like 7 games or something ridiculous like that. Forgive me, it's the offseason. I can't remember what stretch that was, but he takes a lot of shots. And I think that it would be worth it for Montreal to do it. Now, if we're looking at their cap space here, Andrew I have no idea how to say his last name. His Twitter handle is at @AZADARSKI, at Zadarsky. So that's his Twitter if you want to check him out, but I apologize. Zadarnowski, I believe that's how you say his name, Andrew Zadarnowski. Hopefully that's correct. But he tweeted out with the Carolina Hurricanes officially matching the offer sheet. Like I said earlier, the picks and the cap space is back. With the 10% increase, their cap space goes to $12.8 million. And by them, I mean the Montreal Canadiens. So $12.8 million to work with in the offseason with that 10% increase. And of course, they can move around some contracts. If they wanted to go after a guy like Laine, they could easily move out somebody so that way they're comfortable underneath the salary cap. They have guys that they can toss on waivers, maybe bury somebody in the minors, because you can bury just under $1 million, I believe, or just over $1 million in the minors. They have a lot of options. I think the Montreal Canadiens have a very, very talented prospect pool as well. They're in a very good spot. So looking at Laine's numbers, looking at this cap space, and the fact that the Winnipeg Jets are kind of tied up with their cap space right now, and they still have other moves that they need to make. So if we're taking a look at the Winnipeg Jets right now, their cap space currently is $22 million. Now that seems like quite a bit, but when you consider that they still need to sign Laine, Andrew Kopp shouldn't be too bad for them, but Kyle Connor, that's a big name that they need to get done. And Pionk, again, that's nothing too crazy. Comrie, nothing crazy. But the Winnipeg Jets also lost a couple defensemen, of course, in Myers, and they traded away Jacob Trouba. So they're going to have to fill in some spots on that blue line. They do have some young guys that can come up and fill spots, but I don't believe that the Jets are just okay with having, fillers there. I think that they want to add a piece there, or at least add a decent piece for them there. But when you're considering that 2 of your free agents, well, your restricted free agents, are big names like Laine and Connor, sure, the Winnipeg Jets could easily match a contract for either one of those guys with that cap space. But considering that they have to fill out their roster still, they have some placeholders. They need to put better names there if they want to compete. And this is the reason why I believe the Jets still will be a fantastic team, but I feel like they realized that if they could get a decent amount of picks for a guy like Patrik Laine, that they might consider not matching a deal if he were to sign one. Now, the Winnipeg Jets have all of their picks except for a round 4 selection in the 2020 draft, so they are pretty good there. They have decent prospects waiting, and they have a decent amount of money. But considering not just this year but next year, they also have a bunch of restricted and unrestricted free agents, especially on that blue line. And then they have Jack Roslovic as well in their forward group. They're going to be making some tough decisions here. I personally feel like this might be a little bit overblown when it comes to the fact that maybe Laine is considering the offer sheet. But if you look at the compensation, you would have to guess that it would be in the $8.4 to $10.5 million compensation range, which would be 2 firsts, a second, and a third. If I'm the Montreal Canadiens and you really want to make a big splash, and you're betting on Laine continuing to score a lot of goals and becoming, you know, the best goal scorer since Alexander Ovechkin, and Ovi's still the top guy if you ask me until he retires, but Laine is right there. If you're giving up 2 firsts, a second, and a third for Laine, I think that you do it. But you can't do the same thing that you did with Sebastian Aho, because if Patrik Laine accepts a deal at like $8.4 million on an offer sheet, then, well, 8.54872, which is in that 2 first, second, and third range, Winnipeg's matching that all day long. But if you offer him 10.5, then you're talking. You're going, okay, this makes some sense here. Maybe we can't afford to accept this, or we do accept this, and now what happens with Ehlers? Do we have to trade Ehlers? How much is the Connor contract going to cost? Because Kyle Connor could get offer sheeted too, and it would cost quite a bit of money. Now, excuse me, if you're the Habs, and if you're a Habs fan, let me know. Are you giving up the 2 firsts, a second, and a third for Patrik Laine? Because I'm not going to lie, I would definitely consider it. I think I would do it, considering the prospect pool that the Habs have, the space that they have, and the, you know, the options that they have. They can make some moves. So this is going to be real interesting. I think that Patrik Laine is a prime target for the Habs, and listen, if it happens, it happens, but at the same time, this could be just as overblown as the Toronto Maple Leafs Mitch Marner situation. And I guess right now, the only RFAs that matter are Laine and Marner right now, because it looks like Point is not interested. Rantanen, the Avs have all the space in the world to make that happen. They can match, and they're likely going to keep him. I don't think he wants to go anywhere. And then your other ones like Kachuk and Calgary, stuff like that, nobody's talking about them, so I'm guessing that those guys are not even considering anything. Maybe they haven't been offered, I don't know. But Marner and Laine are the big names that people are considering sending offer sheets to. So we'll have to see what happens, and hopefully you guys will let me know down below what you think about this. If you're new, make sure to subscribe. I'd love to have more hockey conversations with you. Join the squad. Let's get to 7,000 subscribers. I'll see you guys in the next video or stream. Peace.